Welcome back to the Service Academy Information Channel. On this channel, we discuss all things Service Academy. We discuss getting a nomination, getting an appointment, and Service Academy news. And this video is part 2 of the interview process video series. This is part 2 of the interview process series. If you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch part 1 before you come back here and watch part 2. So let's get into part 2. So what we did in part 1, we discussed the introduction and the formalities of a Service Academy nomination interview. What we're going to discuss here in part 2 is the body of the interview, and we're going to get going on it right now. So once the formalities are done, the introduction, who you are, the formalities, you're going to get into the body. I call it the body of the interview. And once again, it could be a panel of 2 people, it could be a panel of 5 people, it could be a lot of people. But typically, the interview will only last 15 to 20 minutes. Now, I know that might sound like an eternity, and when you are getting interviewed, it will be an eternity. But the interview process usually lasts no more than 15 to 20 minutes. You can expect anything from a very casual conversation to getting grilled and everything in between. So let's just look at the in-between here. So people are going to ask you a lot of questions. And a couple of basic questions they are going to ask you is why you want to go to your chosen academy, what you want to study at that academy, and what you want to do after graduation. Those are a couple of 3 basic questions that you should be knowing where you're going to go. That's easy. Why you want to go and what you're going to study. The next questions that you probably always will get is, what will be your rank upon graduation? Believe it or not, people do not know what their rank in the military will be upon graduating from a service academy. If you don't know, look it up, but I will tell you right now, if you go to West Point or you go to the Air Force Academy, your rank will be 2nd lieutenant. If you go to the Naval Academy and you go into the Navy, your rank will be ensign. If you go into the Marine Corps, your rank would be 2nd lieutenant. If you go to the Coast Guard or the Merchant Marine Academy, your rank will be ensign. It's very simple. The next thing they're going to ask you is what your service commitment is. And you should know what your service commitment is for each of those individual academies. Typically, your service commitment is 5 years, but you have to look at the Merchant Marine Academy. That's a little different. And if you want to go and you want to fly, that service commitment is different. But typically, your commitment is 5 years. But I am telling you right now, do your research on what you want to do upon graduation and see what the commitment is for that, because they're not all the same. So the 3 basic questions, where you want to go, why you want to go, what are you going to study, what you're going to do after, what's your service commitment, and what your rank. Those are the questions. You will see that all the time. Now, people will start asking you very difficult questions about, what have you done for the community? Go and tell them what you've done for the community. They're going to ask you, well, why didn't you do more? Or why didn't you do this? Or why? These questions are actually very good questions because they allow you to answer in a positive light. So somebody's going to say, what did you do for the community? Well, I volunteered a weekend a month at a nursing home. And they're going to say, why didn't you do more? Well, the reason that I didn't do more is that I was on a sports team and we had games every weekend. But I was able to fit in between that schedule working at the nursing home. And I also did X, Y, and Z for my community. You never want to give an answer that leads to a negative answer. You never want to say, yeah, I guess I could have done more, or maybe I could have made more time. You never want to say that, especially when it comes to academics and sometimes when it comes from sports. If people start drilling down to why you did not get a good grade, you never want to say, Well, it's because I really didn't put the effort in. I didn't like the course. I didn't like the teacher. I didn't like the subject. You never want to say that. Now, if there was some kind of family tragedy or some kind of a circumstance that didn't allow you to study, like, something sad happened and you say, hey, look, this sad thing happened and I had to be with my family and I couldn't study for these tests, that's a different story. Make sure you say that, though, so they know that this kind of is a one-off, that you didn't do well on that subject. But never say, I didn't like the subject, I didn't like the teacher, I just didn't like it. The reason is that would lead to the next question. And the next question is, well, what are you going to do when you get to the academy and you have to take a class that you don't like? Are you just going to fail it and blow it off? You can't do that. Or what's going to happen when you go and you're working for somebody upon graduation and you're reporting to a superior and you don't like him? You're not going to perform? Don't let them go down that path. It's a negative path and it's not going to help you. Now, going back to the interview panel, you will find that there's people on an interview panel, and usually when I interview, there's three people on the panel. There's one person who is an expert on academics and college placement and SAT, ACTs and courses and all that. And it's a her, and she will drill down on academics, on ACT scores, SAT scores, honor classes, all those things. She knows everything there is to know about all of that, and she will drill down on that. Usually there's another person, and that person, it's a him, focuses on what did you do for the community? What did you do for community service? What do you do? What do you do extracurricular? What do you do scouts? What do you do? They will drill down on that. I'm usually the person that drills down on the military aspect of it, about academy life, how you would do in academy life, about the military, what you want to do in the military, and what you want to do and beyond. So typically, the first person, the academic person, will start asking you questions about the SATs. Why didn't you do better? Did you have a tutor? How'd you prepare? All of this stuff. They will drill down. She will drill down on that. You probably will have a person like that, and they will drill down on academics. Be positive. Always say that you did your best and that you studied the hardest, and this is what it is. It's always nice to do better, but this is where I am. For the person in community service, always put your best light forward. Somebody used to tell me in the past, do not hide your spotlight under a bushel basket. Basically now is the time to brag and to say all the things that you did. And be very positive about all that you did for your community, all that you do in extracurriculars, all that you do in your church, all that you do in your synagogue, etc. Now is the time to say, I do all these great things. I'm this great person. I help all these great people. This is what I do. For somebody like me who starts asking about the military stuff, I will always ask this question. I will say to the people that want to be pilots, did you see Maverick Top Gun? And a lot of times they go, oh no, I didn't see that. You didn't see Maverick Top Gun and you want to be a fighter pilot? I will ask the question, what books about the military have you read? You haven't read any books? Always find that surprising. I will ask, what kind of movies about the military have you seen? People watch TV and movies all the time. It's easier than reading a book. And I will ask, who is your favorite military leader on our side or their side or anybody's side? That, not that you don't have to respect them, but that interests you, or that you look at them and find some kind of quality which is worth discussing. And a lot of times people can't answer those questions. So what I'm telling you is, if you want to go into military service and you want to go in a specific branch, make sure that you have a little knowledge about that branch, whether it be, ships, submarines, aircraft, infantry, or whatever. It's very easy to find stuff. Very easy to find stuff online that you can read, that you can watch, but just have a background so you can have just a basic discussion. So I'm going to wrap it up right here for part 2 of the series. The body of an interview is going to be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. You can have anywhere from 3 to 5 or more people. People will concentrate on specific areas. They're going to want to know some basic things. Where you want to go to school, what you want to study, what you want to do upon graduation, what's your rank, and what's your service commitment. You got to know at least those 5 things. And you got to have a basic knowledge of the military community that you're going in. And be prepared to be a positive discussion about all the good things you do. Do not open the door to a negative line of questioning. So this concludes part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 3 of this series. Bye now.